One Piece chapter 1096, man. I'm gonna keep this one a buck for you, man. I was not expecting some of the twists we got in this chapter. Like, first and foremost, like we knew, like, okay, Garland, they're doing some foul stuff. Yeah, at the same time, I didn't expect this to be the moment where we see what really happened or a glimpse of what really happened when you had the whole Rocks Pirates and the Rogers Pirates and you had Garp showing up. It was one of those things where, like, we got told in the past, like, Garp and Roger had teamed up in the past and they had fought off the Rocks Pirates, but it was one of those things where, like, I thought it was just like it was the lesser two evils. They need to team up. Now we got context behind it, and it makes me wonder what else is Oda getting ready to flip around. But let's back things up though, and let's go back through the chapter itself because there's quite a bit I want to talk about here. In particular, my distaste for the celestial dragons, it keeps growing. Like, it's one of those things where you know they're trash, but the more information you get, you just want to rock one of them on the head, dude. Like, Oda might have single-handedly created the one group of, I can't even call them antagonists, but like the one group of just pieces of trash that in all shonen I've read, I detest them more and more and more because we're seeing a genocide, right? Like, we're seeing a genocide, and this makes me so sick to my stomach to read this, man, because it took me a second at first. Like, when they were going over the whole thing with the point system and all that, I'm like, wait a second, are they really going to let them go? Or is this going to be a full-blown massacre? And I went back and I reread 1095, and then that's where it hit me. I'm like, oh, crap. Ivankov was right. Nobody's going to get off of this thing alive if they don't act, man. So we open up where they tell us that they've already introduced 13 super rare rabbits, and they're all worth 100,000 each. And they're also 150 rare rabbits. And one-hit kills will earn you an excellence bonus. And we got some very fine prizes for the champion, the prizes being devil fruits. And the reason why this kind of hit me is it was one of those things where you see that they're putting a monetary value, and it's by points. So that is monetary to an extent, but they're putting a monetary value on human life. And it's just like, dude, that is one of the most cruel things you can do. And yet at the same time, Oda, I like that he didn't pull punches. Like, this chapter made me sick to my stomach, and you knew it just based off of the opening panel where you got everybody crying ugly tears and you got the different variations of shading that are going on. But it's one of those things where if you're going to do this, you have to just go all in. You can't half step toe around it and like fast forward to the very end and see like, oh, okay, so this many number of people died, and you got to take us through the moment as some of the stuff's going on, even if you don't depict the actual deaths themselves. So much appreciation to Oda for not being afraid to do this, because I could just as easily see some editor from Shonen Jump saying, you got to pull the plug on this. This is getting a little past the norms with Shonen. Maybe this is just because Oda has as much pull as he does with Weekly Shonen Jump. Like, when you've been running for, what is it, 25 years now? When you've been going for this long, like, you get to do whatever the hell you want to do. So what I like, though, is that after we move away and you have like the mother covering up the child, holding the child, looks like the child had been hit by one of the bullets that got fired off. We jump over to Navy headquarters, and you got Garp being brought up to speed. And the thing that gets Garp excited and ready to go is he learns that Roger was going to get involved in the whole thing. And that's what he's like, okay, time to go. And it just kind of shows you, like, it's one of those things like with Luffy where Luffy kind of marches to the beat of his own drum, and so does Dragon to an extent. And you see that Garp does the same thing. And like, it just kind of shows, like, when you got those hard-headed, hot-headed personalities like that, such strong temperament, this was always going to be a problem with them. And it just makes me look at how Oda brilliantly showed that it doesn't matter if you're a Navy man or you're a revolutionary or you're a pirate. When you have such a strong personality like this, you never truly fit in, because when you look at these three, Garp and Dragon and Luffy, they don't fit into what the acceptable norm is for whatever profession that they're in. People like that are always going to stand out. So I did like seeing this bit here just kind of further hammer that home in there. This is going to be one of the things that now that I'm pretty much caught up on One Piece, I am gonna start doing some of the character videos. I love the parallels between Garp and Luffy and Dragon, and how even though they all went down separate paths, there's just so much that intersects with these characters. Now we shift back over to God Valley, and that's where Ivankov is like, look, like this is not going the way you guys want to. This is a murder game. They want to drive off all the inhabitants of the area. You guys think that if you survive for 3 weeks, they'll just let you go. That's not going to happen. The only way that you win the game is by quitting the game. You quit the game by getting the hell out of the game. And I like how, even though Ivankov is young, Ivankov is spitting facts here. And it kind of, you could kind of say like, it's like the Native American settler thing or whatnot. But it's one of the things where there are facts put in there where Ivankov is talking about how they just want to take the resources of the island. That's the story of mankind. It's the whole thing, the ugly side of Manifest Destiny. Whenever we have decided to expand to whatever direction we've gone to, we have always gone somewhere, taken over, killed whatever's in the way, enslaved whoever we enslaved and built on top of, and then assimilated the oppressed into the greater majority system. It's an ugly side of humanity. I would argue it's almost as if it's in our nature to be this violent. And so showing Ivankov bring that up, it's Oda once again showing a child's perspective and how sometimes a child is the one that's able to give us the most depth, the most real world look through the lens at what's going on. And what I like about this is that Ivankov says that don't waste your time dreaming of salvation. We have to escape the game itself. It's a cruelty that is hammered home when you find out that St. Garland has already gotten 100,000 points. And you just think about how many lives that is. And you get the breakdown of what happened where the prizes at the center of the island are devil fruits. One of the devil fruits, which is the one that Kaido had, it allows you to transform into a dragon. The other devil fruit is the one that Kuma had, which is the pawpaw fruit, which allows you to send others and yourself to distant islands. And you start getting the breakdown of who's going to go after which fruit. And Kuma rightfully says, hey, I'm going to go after this one. I'm big and hardy, so I can survive longer than anybody else. Like, support me, we'll get that one. And you can see the logic behind it. The logic is, it's like, hey, if you can get the pawpaw fruit, then we can get multiple people out of here. We might not be able to save everyone, but we can save a bunch of people if we get that devil fruit. And I like how quickly they come up with the idea behind it. And we get the reveal that, like, hey, one of the kids transmitted out the truth about what was going on, about the prizes of the devil fruits. And so now we find out why Roger was coming here. Essentially, Roger and the Rocks Pirates and some more ended up finding out, hey, there's devil fruits here. They were coming to pillage the devil fruits. And so that's where you get like the really cool shot where you see the Rocks Pirates and all assemble, and you see a younger Kaido, a younger Whitebeard, you see a younger Big Mom, which I will never understand. I've said it before, but I will never understand. How did Big Mom fall off that much? Like, she had a lot of kids, so I get it, man. Like, when you get that many babies put in you, sometimes, like, you just fall off a fucking cliff. But, dude, like, Big Mom used to be fine as shit, man. Like, that's just one of those things, like, I don't get it, man. Like, I know it's gonna sound cringe, man. Like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, I don't see how that happens, man. But, like, moving on, though, we get the really cool shot where you see Roger and the Rocks Pirates. They start mixing it up. You got Garp getting ready to get into the scene. Garp is charging forward. You got Garland getting ready to start mixing up. Chaos is breaking forward. And you see that Kuma managed to get his hands on the pawpaw fruit. And so Ivankov's like, hey, don't even think about it. Go ahead and start eating it. And that's where Big Mom snatches out the devil fruit that Ivankov gets his hands on. And it's like, it makes you wonder for a second, like, what would have happened if Ivankov would have ate that devil fruit right there? Like, how much would the story change? Like, One Piece is one of those series where I would venture to say you can't even do what ifs, because Oda just ties everything together so neatly. But man, this would be one hell of a what if. Now, this is where we end up where we start seeing how Kuma ended up getting on the radar of the world government itself, because the moment that Saturn sees this dude and sees that he ate that pawpaw fruit, Saturn's like, look, man, you got two options, slavery or death. History chose your spot for you. And when this dude says, I want to be like Nika and I want to save as many of these people as I can, Saturn's like, that's exactly why we got to get rid of all you folks. And then that's where we learn that, like, hey, the narrator's saying the events of what happened on this island will be lost to the dark histories of shadow. And you see how Morgan in the World Economic Journal basically did that glory piece. So we found out hundreds of chapters ago where it was like Rocks Pirates versus Garp, and Garp got the credit for everything. And so that's where we start seeing how Kuma, for a time, was looking at his hands like they were the hands of liberation. And we end off the chapter where Ivankov has gone off towards sea, and Kuma is shown living his everyday life. You see that he's taken away some of the pain of others, which that makes that whole scene with Zoro hit that much harder now. And what we end up seeing is that Ginny and Kuma are sharing a meal and they're crying at the end. Oda, just off this one chapter, I already know Oda's about to rip my fucking heart out, man. These are some of the chapters where it never ceases to amaze me, where a lesser mangaka might pull punches. Oda just jumps full steam ahead and says, I don't give a damn who I offend. I gotta watch how much I swear here because of YouTube. I don't want to run into another guideline issue. So this is interesting to me, man. Like oh man, I am distraught having read this chapter. Like, there have not been this many chapters in One Piece where I've gotten emotionally worked up like this, like the Sabo chapter, and I can think of them too. Like the Sabo chapter where we find out what happened during his origin story and what happened with the fire and everything, and Nami and what happened with Belle Marie. Like, this is one of those things where this chapter here, 1096, is going to be one of the ones that it's going to eat away at my soul. And I'm not sure if it's because I can relate to some of the stuff we've seen on here. Like, obviously, I'm not a victim of genocide, but I've seen how, and I don't know if maybe it's recency bias because I am recording this after, and I don't want to get political, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but, you know, like, there are people I know who have been affected by some of the stuff that's going on in the Palestine stuff, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So I don't know if maybe I'm being affected by that, but man, this chapter hurts, man. This chapter hurts, and I want to know from you guys, man, like, how do you guys think that Toei Animation is going to handle this when they get to it? Do you think that they're going to go full steam ahead with it, or are they going to pull punches? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Have an awesome day, guys.